Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV, back at it. You already know. In fact, let's get it like this. Man, that is the slap right there. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you do that and put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. And I highly appreciate it, man. Thank you for all the support. I couldn't do it without you, and I know that. So I felt inclined to do this video. And this is not, I didn't get a phone call. No one asked me to do this video. I wasn't asked to do a favor nor a bottle, right? Which means favor in Spanish. I wasn't asked, hey, homie, can you back my play on this? In fact, all the bottles for that guy are over, right? He didn't know how to receive them well. So it's not like there's any animosity, but this would be the last person I would be defending lightweight. But I'm doing it anyways, man, because it's right. And what's right is right. And in the world that I lived, there's morals, there's values, there's standards, there's professionalism, and most of all, there's respect. Right. And so regardless of what people may think, I do respect this guy at the end of the day. I respect everybody who was involved in the gang culture or the gang lifestyle to a certain point. Some of the things that are done, I have my reasonings why I don't fuck with it. But I got to give respect where respect's due. So let's talk about Renegade Media one time again. All right, one time again. Another video was put out. Now, for those of you that don't know, there was a video put out. He did an interview. He sat down with Jonny Mitchell, the prison content creator guru who interviews these guys who have, lived the life, have been in the lifestyle. Now, I have no problems with that. In fact, more power to bringing awareness to a situation and to actually, putting out guys' stories who have overcome that. Because there's a lot of people that like to glorify and highlight prison stories, the war stories, and those are all cool. I tell my stories, they're funny, they happened, they're actual, factual. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to glorify or say, hey, man, it's cool. It was cool getting stabbed, or it was cool stabbing people, or, it takes a lot to do that. And for those that don't understand, everyone thinks, when they hit a yard and they're asked to put in that work, that is just that easy. No, there's butterflies in your stomach, there's nerves. I've seen people throwing up in the cells because they have to go out to the yard and handle business. And there's a lot going through your mind. If you've never done a removal or never been asked of by the casa, by the household, to put in work to defend your people on a prison yard, a 4-yard or a 3-yard, I can't necessarily speak for 2 and 1 yards. I've never been there. But when I talk about 4 and 3 yards, man, it even makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up because I understand fully what it takes to go out there and have to do something like to defend not only your people, but to defend yourself, because you're always aware that it's you or them. When you're asked and encouraged to do something on the yard in defense of your people, it's not really asked. It's basically told, but in a nicer way. So, you get those butterflies in your stomach, you get Oscar, there's nerves. And I've seen straight known killers, people who do hit after hit. You're nervous because you're thinking, man, what if the tower shoots at me? What if this guy takes the knife away from me and puts it, most of the guys that you're removing off a yard, or most of the guys that you're putting in work on, are a part of that lifestyle too. They've been doing it for a lot of years. And sometimes they fall into bad favor, bad standings, and they're a straight up hitter or a killer. And so you're put in a predicament. You do what you do if you do it, right? Some people choose not to and they roll it up, and that's just that. When I see Jonny Mitchell doing these interviews, he highlights a lot of the situations people were in and shows how they've changed their life. I respect that, being part of that lifestyle, someone who actually lived very dangerously and in a very volatile situation and put myself in those situations. I don't blame anyone. I'm accountable for what I've done and have changed. I am now no longer an active gang member. I am an active father, an active advocate for doing better. And I believe that J Hands, Renegade Media, 559J, whatever you want to call him, right, has some of those same philosophies, right? He may do it in a different manner with different type of content and with a different type of attitude, and that I don't agree with, but at the same time, he does what he does. I'm not going to hate on the man for doing that. But I seen he did a video the other day with Jonny Mitchell, and it seems like Jonny Mitchell lately is more into glorifying the prison stories and clickbaiting and putting people into difficult situations. Well, the video he did the other day, he called Jay Hands a Nuestra Familia shot caller. Now, I remember back in the early 80s, or excuse me, late 80s, early 90s, these were words you didn't utter. These were words that were soft-spoken, if spoken at all. You know, you were not to acknowledge that that organization even existed or that any prison organization ever existed. And I remember I'd see my tios and he would hang around with certain dudes that were part of that life. They had the tattoos, they had the mannerisms, they had the professionalism, and the way they willed and dealt with people was different. And I knew they were different. And he tried to act like they weren't even there at his pad. I'd see dudes with big old whips, hey, put something in that spoon, that's it, right? They'd be doing their thing. And I'd be like, hey, you know, those are your homies. And I was all intrigued and enraptured with the lifestyle, you know, the big mustaches, the tattoos, the Huelga birds. And then, you know, my tío would give me game. And he'd be like, these guys are not to be spoken about or spoken on because these guys are really in the mix. They've earned or achieved a certain status that not everyone can. They are the elite of the elite when it comes to the Northern California world, right? And I understood there was a threshold there. Some people make it to a certain point, some people don't. Now, I'm sitting here and I'm going to co-sign and say that Renegade Media made it to a certain threshold. You know, if he said what he was, that's what he was. Who can deny that? Who can take that from him? Nobody. Does it mean anything other than he achieved something in the gang life that not many others have? No, it just means that, you know, he says he was part of something and you're going to take it at face value and you run with it. Now, he does know a little bit about a lot of it. That I will say, and I'll stamp that. But when it comes to being an NF member, I think we all pretty much figured out that that is not the case. Yet, nor has that guy ever claimed to be. In fact, totally the opposite, right? And he's had nothing but harsh critiques on that organization. Now, I'll say this. You know, Jonny Mitchell decided for whatever reason when he recorded the video to highlight and engage Renegade Media with questions that glorified that life, that glorified what them individuals were involved in while incarcerated, and decided for whatever reason, whether it was clickbait, content purposes, to basically call Renegade Media a shot caller of that organization. You know, that's a dangerous thing to do, to put someone in that situation, especially when Jay Hands, you know, has claimed to have doubled back and called Jonny Mitchell and asked him, hey, if he could change the title, if he could, you know, change some things up. And Jonny Mitchell refused. He said, it's his content. Just go with it. The views mean more than your safety and your health. That should not be a concern, but it is a concern when you're not the one facing, you know, the adversity of people going in on you, because automatically people assume, not myself because I know better, but a lot of people assume that Jay Hands was claiming to be something. He was false flagging. He was claiming to be something he's not, right? And I don't think he ever did that. In fact, I know he didn't do that. And in fact, I know that phone call was made to Jonny Mitchell for him to take it down. So Jonny Mitchell refused to do that. And what does that say about his content? What does it say? Now, I have nothing bad to say about that dude other than what I'm saying right now, point blank. You know, I don't know him over a bowl of fucking lumpy ass fucking multi-meal with cinnamon in it, right? That shit bomb too. But this guy, you know, seems to have jumped ship as far as trying to help people to see the positives or make a positive out of a negative. And more goes into glorifying now. And because it's intriguing, it's worth views. People like drama. They like high drama, not high desert. That's the truth, right? And putting this guy in a situation, now I understand, let's not beat a dead horse and let's not bullshit or sugarcoat nothing. No added preservatives. Charlie, right? Menudo style. This is what you're going to get with the gun. Renegade Media has put himself in a predicament, in a situation, because of his mouth, because of content that he's put out there, because of people he's spoken on, and because people that have felt disrespected by some of the things he's talked about. Okay, that's that man's business. That man's he's gonna stand on that. He's already said he's made his bed, he's laying in it, right? He's all comfortable, right? California King, he's doing that. Can't hate on the man for standing on his own. In fact, you got to respect the fact that he's willing to go out on his shield. You know, now you could sit here and say, yeah, he seems disgruntled. He seems mad. He seems like he still wants to be part of that lifestyle. You can say a number of things, but at the end of the day, I don't know his heart. You don't know his heart. Only he knows his heart and the reason why he does the things he does. Now, I'm not a dumb motherfucker. I know money is involved. And of course, people do content creation for monetary gain. Let's be real. Some people will sit here and say, I do it because it's therapeutic and I want to help you. This is a cutthroat situation here on YouTube. And you're going to see people exposing people slandering people making up stories on guys they've never even met in real life, talking about their families, their dead family members, their loved ones. It gets grimy. It gets dirty. And that's why I don't impress this upon no one, content creation, especially in this fucking dirty ass genre, the prison genre, because everybody's trying to be that man and everyone's hating. And it's gotten to a point where you have guys that are not even in the genre hating as well because they don't want to believe that a situation that occurred with you can be truth or can have some truth to it. Having never been to a prison yard, having never had them shackles put on you, having never been on the Grey Goose, having never been in situations that you were in or ever ate freaking SOS prison style or been in a situation to hit a chow hall in real life, they will ridicule you, downplay your content and whatever. And it is what it is. Those of us with thick skin will survive. Those of us that don't, well, we'll see you fucking working at Wiener Schnitzel, right? I don't like the footlongs. And that's just the way it is. So when it comes to Jay Hans, there's a lot of people that feel a certain way about him. But I will never kick a man when he's down. And I will never, try to exploit a man that, actually is holding it down for what he believes in as far as calling Jonny Mitchell and saying, hey, bro, I never told you I was part of that organization. I never alluded to that. Maybe this guy just assumed that putting that in the title would make it more inviting to people. And of course, I had a homie call me yesterday. I could now call him a homie because we talk a lot and he's good people's, right? And I respect him. I respect his content. He's a content creator. And he called me yesterday and he was like, man, I did a video, bro. It was a good video, very informational. This guy's smart, right? And I said, yeah, I see, that's cool. I clicked on it. I ended up watching it after the conversation because I just wanted to, do my homework on it. And he said, this other guy does a video, but he mentions a prison organization, same exact video, same exact thumbnail, but he mentions a prison organization and he got way more views. What's the discrepancy? What am I doing wrong? I said, you have done nothing wrong, bro. You're a man that's sticking to the character of your content and doing the right thing. And in all actuality, he's going to get more clicks because when you Google that certain prison gang or prison organization, a lot of people are going to click on it because they're interested in that. And by you not putting that in your title, you're not going to get in the algorithm. And that's just the truth of the matter, right? Doesn't mean your content wasn't better. Doesn't mean you're not a better speaker nor more educated and more in-depth educated as far as that subject and that content. But it just is what it is. I go through the same things. If I put, NF or certain other organizations in my titles all the time, man, I'd blow up, right? I remember when I once did that. I can't be a hypocrite, and my channel was booming. But I choose to step back from that because a lot of them things were none of my business, and I shouldn't be speaking on something I was no longer affiliated or associated with at any level. And that's the truth, right? I could just tell my stories and my stories only, and stories that I know that have happened with facts and truth around me. That's just how I live now. And it's not whether they want to get me or they don't want to get me. That's neither here nor there. I'm a man and I will do what I have to do to defend myself. But at the end of the day, there's no more putting icing on the top. There's no more creating bullshit. I'm already involved in bullshit. You can only have so much bullshit and it all stinks. When it comes to Jay Hans, he continues to make his content. He continues to do what he does. So maybe Jonny Mitchell assumed that, Renegade Media was part of that. But when Renegade Media told him and called him and told him, hey, bro, can you change the title, please? He should have did that. No questions asked. He should have been a man in the situation and said, my bad, bro. I was trying to make something happen, trying to get them dollar bills, y'all, right? Cream, Wu-Tang. But instead of being a Wu-Tang member, this Vato was a Wu-Tang without the ooh, man, right? And that was it. He said, no, Charlie, absolutely not. Thank you for your interview. Now, I don't know if he paid Jay Hans for this interview. I don't know what the discussion or the agreement was between them, but you're putting him in a pretty bad situation. And he continues, and that's what this whole story is about. 14 minutes in, I'm barely getting to the topic at hand. He did it again. The Empire struck back again after being asked, can you change the title? He didn't ask him to take down the video because if you really watch it, which I have extensively, to critique it, but not to critique it in a bad way, just to see if there's some content there I could do. Renegade Media never alluded to him being a part of that. And it was actually a pretty good conversation. Some of the things I didn't agree with, some of the things I did not believe, but it was what it was. And some of the things I can't say were truth, right? Now, Jonny Mitchell has decided for whatever reason to tell him, chale. No,
hell no, stupid.
He is not going to change the title. And not only did he do that, but he doubled down and dropped another video. You see on the thumbnail, another video, a 15-minute video was dropped, another excerpt of that actual interview, right? And that's what the content creators do. They'll take the same interview and cut it up into a whole bunch of pieces and kind of clickbait you into thinking it's something different. You're like, hey, I already seen this. It's too late. They already got their money, right? And so in that video, man, it's called, we were selling pounds on the, it says prison shot caller was selling pounds on the yard. That's putting him in the same situation that he already asked you not to put him in. First of all, I don't know what this infatuation with prison shot calling is. You know, the people who live that life and who are really on the yards, on mesas or llaveros or key holders or shot callers or whatever you want name you want to give them, you know, them guys are pretty low key. They're not high key, meaning they don't want everyone all up in their fucking mix. They're responsible. There's a lot of responsibility there. You know, we already see with Wes Watson, he likes to glorify the prison lifestyle and he likes to talk about being a shot caller and boom, 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 beating up all his cellies. And I seen a video the other day, he was talking about beating up his cellie over a fucking egg and just crazy as shit. He's already been exposed for propaganda and bullshit because of content purposes. And we already know that he was not a shot caller. Maybe he was a good wood brother at one point in good standings, you know, in the yard, but there's been people that were incarcerated with him that have already told the stories that he wasn't doing none of the shit he says he was doing. He was over there doing push-ups. And that's about it, which is what you could expect. You know, people see him, he's all swole and tatted down, and they're like, oh, he had to be a shot caller. You know what? Guys that have really been in prison will tell you, the guys who have the most intelligence on the yard and who are really doing the things are not the biggest guy with all the tattoos. 99% of the time, they're the guys with the least amount of tattoos or that keep them covered because they don't want to get validated and they don't want the cops to realize or recognize the type of position they're in. It's all a cat and mouse game. It's all cops and robbers. It's all about seeming to normalize a situation when at the end of the day, you really are that one. And the ones that are that one are never going to talk about it or speak on it because they're not trying to glorify it. They don't care what you think. They only care what the big homies think. That's the truth. That's all that should matter to them. When you achieve to that certain point, nothing you say or do matters. The only thing that matters is how they conduct themselves with professionalism on that yard and keep their gente pushing and making money for whoever they need to make that money for. Facts, right? So, you know, whether or not Jay Hands was really making money on the yard selling dope or whatever he alludes to, Jonny Mitchell automatically puts that shot caller label on him, puts him in a position of hierarchy, makes it seem like, you know, this guy was just fucking running everything. Now, let's not get it twisted. Jay Hands has told stories where he said he was in a position. And if he was an NR member, if he was part, you know, a Norteño Soldado, I will say this, having lived that lifestyle and functioning in regiments in Merced, right? If he did do that, then of course he was privy to a lot of things that were going on. And yes, he was maybe directing some traffic. But let me explain a little thing about the northern plight, about the northern cause, right? On most yards in the California prison system, the northerners are the minority. When I say northerners, I mean norteños. They're the minority. And there's a difference, or I don't know if there's a difference now because they change titles and labels all the time. But back in my days, it was northerners and norteños and then something totally different that you were not even part of. And unless you were a norteño of elite status, did you have any conversation? And if that wasn't your channel, then that wasn't your channel, right? And I hate to speak on too much things, but I need to condition you guys for what I'm saying. There could be anywhere from 5, 6, 7, 8. There was 10 of us, homie. 10 northerners on the yard. Unless you're in like a Soledad or Salinas Valley or somewhere, norteños are top heavy and there's a lot. Most places you're not going to see very many northerners. You're not going to see a lot of norteños in southern facilities. But say you got norteños in Susanville, for instance. And, you know, at that point when I was there, there was a lot. There was about 80 of us. But that was the most I ever seen in real life. But most yards, there's going to be about 10 northerners, 10 to 15, right? And in the household, there's going to be positions that you're given, positions of authority. Now, a lot of these positions you think you have ultimate authority. You think you're doing big things because you're a TS, a tier security, or a cell security, or whatever else, right? They got going on that I'm not going to speak on. And really, you're just a soldado, man, with a headache. You got to be responsible for your tier and the people. You're given positions, and believe me, if there's only 10 Northerners on the yard, everyone has a position, right? So it makes you feel you might get out like, oh yeah, homie, I was this, I was that, I had position, I had status, I was that. No, really, you didn't. Really, you just happened to be there, homie, and they gave you a position because you were all that was there. That's the truth. So with J-Hands, man, I know he speaks from experience and says that he was part of a situation where he was in a leadership role. Whether that's true or untrue, I don't know. I wasn't there with them, but I know someone who was, right? And when they were on the yard with them, he was not in that position. Not meaning to say he wasn't all the time, but at that particular yard, he wasn't. Now, they weren't claiming the fame either. They're just putting out facts and saying, hey, he was a homeboy. He was a good homeboy. You know, he was a righteous homeboy from Tula County, which Tulare County gets a lot of respect in prison, and they've earned it. Now, for Jonny Mitchell to be putting this label on this guy, one or two reasons. Like I said, it's all about the money. It's all about the clickbait. Or he doesn't respect something about J-Hands when he sat down with them. He just doesn't respect them because, you know, like I said in my last video, there's plenty of situations where guys, you know, I've interviewed them. I've talked to them. And mid-interview, and we're going to talk about one in a minute, I realized, damn, this guy might be lying through his teeth. It just doesn't sound credible. You know, he swore up and down. And because I had so much respect for this man and what he was involved in, and I knew what he was involved in, I let the video go. And I got a lot of hatred. And there's a lot of people that said, hey, man, that was bullshit. That shit never happened. That dude fucking lied through his teeth. And I said, I felt that way. But against my best judgment, I let the video go out, right? And for those of you that don't remember, it's an old video. You can tap back in, man. It was with Rest in Peace, Sundown, you know, who was an NF member at one point back in the 70s and who claims to have never defected. But, you know, I know that he did. And subsequently, since that video, he's passed away, you know, due to health reasons. But during the video, he was lying and just telling stories that, you know, and it was too late. I was already in the mix, like editing and doing my thing. And I was like, fuck. Now, I think Jonny Mitchell might feel like he doesn't believe some of J-Han's stories. And with that being said, or he just sees him as another gang member that he can get over on. You know, it's crazy that people that try to go on there for whatever reason, whether it's to push their channel or to enlighten people or to just tell a story, that you as a content creator would decide to go against that man's wishes. Now, again, I've been interviewed a lot of people that are like, hey, bro, can you take that video down because this person or that person? And I did that out of respect without no questions asked, even though it was going to fuck my pocketbook up, even though it was going to make it where I didn't have content to put out that day. So be it. That's respect for the people that sit down with you. You got to have that ultimate same respect. You know, it's just fucked up that this guy's going to continue to put out videos, putting J-Hands in a predicament, in a situation. Now, again, there's people, it doesn't matter, homie. He's already fucking, people want to get at him. That's cool. But imagine if people that don't know him, their first impression is that he's this big time shot caller, was part of a prison organization. They're going to run with that. And when they realize he isn't, they're going to blame him for it. Like you lied to me, man. I got a homie I talk to all the time who has never once ever claimed to be anything other than a man on YouTube doing content about his prison experiences. Yet there's people nowadays that are like, you lied to us. You told us you were this and you were that. And he never did. So people take shit and run with it. You know, Jonny Mitchell is responsible for the content he puts out and for what he tells people. Ultimately, I understand the game. I understand the clickbait moves. I understand all that. But when someone comes to you and asks you, hey, bro, can you please take that down or change the title? I'm not asking too much. Have some respect. That's what's going to make people not want to fuck with you, man. How can you be trusted as a content creator and an interviewer if you're bamboozling and tricking people and then just doing what you want with the material? It just ain't cool, right? Anyways, let me know what you guys think. He did it again, Jonny Mitchell. He put another video out, and this time, again, Renegade Media is a big-time shot caller. Do you think it's Renegade Media's fault, or do you think it's Jonny Mitchell's fault? I'm going to have to ride with Renegade and say, man, hey, if he did call that dude and tell him to take the video down, dude should have did that. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. Gracias. Bang, bang.